I'm with Scott Perron, 24/7 Floors out of Sarasota, Florida, and it's been a while since we've talked, and I'm anxious to see what's happened with your organization.
It's great to see you in person too, Dave. A lot of times we do this on the phone.
Yeah, and I should say that you are in Dalton, so you're obviously in here meeting all the people and seeing what kind of deals you can get out of these people.
Yeah, I think it's good to come here a couple times a year just to show your face and meet with your important suppliers and have them see you and discuss what's up and coming and what, quite frankly, we can do to help them.
Now you opened this operation about a year ago, give or take, something like that?
We are a couple of weeks away, or a week away from being a year old. October 1st was our first day last year, and we're a brand new company, really.
Now the concept was, as I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, sort of a lower budget operation. You were off the beaten path in terms of your location. You opted to not do advertising and go the networking route. What has changed with your concept, if anything, now that you're almost a year out?
Well, first of all, you're never wrong, Dave. You're not going to be wrong.
That's not what my wife tells me.
But the bottom line is for us, yes, we started out initially spending time focusing on what our costs were going to be to deliver to the consumer, most importantly. And then at the end of the day, having the cross-section of products, learning what we needed for the cross-section of products in our market, because I was new to that market, to service people effectively, understand the colors and styles, and deliver the service specifically that they were requiring at a value so that we could be competitive, entering a market with a brand new brand and ramping up so that we get to our break-even point very quickly. I'm happy to say we did that in about a 60-day, 75-day period, but that's because we kept our costs extremely low during that time.
So the whole idea was to get in lower cost and maintain lower cost going forward?
Yeah, I think it's a fallacy, and it always hasn't been this way, but the previous statement I made was it's a fallacy that you now have to have high-end retail exposure or high-cost exposure in order to sell our product line. I don't believe that's true, and I haven't believed that for many, many years. The challenge is how many people were going to go kind of run against the crowd and go a different direction of how they brought customers in. The internet's one way to do it, but I feel that networking and building relationships for those people that are referring our work more often and having alliances, strategic alliances with those trades or those types of businesses that lend themselves to getting floor covering people business is a huge part of it. And then let's face it takes effort. If a distributor or a mill rep wants to build business, he calls on potential customers. And I think that's been a lost art in our business. So we're doing it, and if our competitors decide not to, all the better for us, because that's our niche and that's the way we're going to go forward.
Fill us in on the networking situation. Now, you had selected various networking groups, and there's dozens of different types.
Sure.
And so it took a while, I'm sure, to find the right ones for you.
Yeah, and I think that's another mistake a lot of folks make, because as you know, I've been in the industry a long time. I had the opportunity to work with and train and learn from a lot of great people. This is why we're sitting here today, and I'm surrounded by great people. But at the same time, I think a lot of people forgot the fact that you don't just try once. I'm one of those guys that believes if you believe in an idea long enough, and it's Colonel Sanders. How many times did he have to show that recipe to somebody before they got the idea to make KFC the brand? We had to go to as many people as possible and learn what the right approach was to networking. We were learning how to network. And also in that process, you have to realize that not every networking group or affiliation or association is going to fill the niche you need or have the right power team that you're going to get the business from that you require to make that effort.
And I guess you don't know what the right one is going in. You just had to learn on the job, I guess. It's
a little bit of a labor of love, but it's calculated. It's not like you're just throwing caution to the wind. You have to go out, specifically spend time, see what and it also has to be the other side. You have to be able to give. I know it sounds like a cliche, but give to receive. You really do, because you're going to have to help the people in that networking group to succeed as well. And if you find you're in the wrong environment or the wrong group, you got to change groups. You got to look until you find the one that's going to work for you.
So the groups that you found to be successful for you, Talk about the other people in the groups. Who are they?
Well, they're all different types of businesses, and we're in a couple of different things. B&I is one of the larger ones, which is a large national and international networking organization that was founded many years by a guy named Ivan Meisner, I think it was. And it's a great concept, the concept of getting a whole bunch of business people together and referring work back and forth. Now, of course, there's some challenges. The challenges would be whether or not the people in that group line up with you, personality-wise and trade-wise, to be able to refer work. For example, a real estate agent might be a very good referral source for you, or a plumber, carpenter, general contractor. Somebody that's working in the house alongside of our trade would be a good referral source. But the other side of that coin is they themselves have to be a good contractor, a good businessman, a good referral source, so that you feel comfortable sending business to them.
You learn who the good ones are and who the not so good ones are. Sure,
and it's against my principles to refer anybody to a customer that isn't going to take care of that customer the way I would take care of them. Just to get a referral out there. I don't believe in that. So I have to believe in my group, and they have to believe in me.
So the ones that are most productive for somebody in the floor covering business, pretty much tradespeople, contractors, real estate people,
property management
who has something
groups.
to do with a house,
Sure.
with a home or a house.
Or even a commercial establishment, because let's not forget all the business that goes on the commercial side of the world. And it's not all bid work where you're running through takeoffs and retainage. There's a lot of Main Street commercial business out there that's just done between the consumer and the dealer.
So you knew who the people were, you knew what the categories were going in, you just didn't know the right people, and that took a while to do that.
Sure, it's interesting too. In every market I've been in, I've seen that there's basically this one large group of people that runs the whole thing. Sarasota is no different than Kansas City or Hartford, Connecticut, where I'm originally from. Once you meet the power team, the group that's aggressive and is out there really looking to do business legitimate and with value and take care of their customers, they have to have the desire to serve people, not serve themselves, because that's long term. Mm-hmm. Serving yourself, it's a short term thing. Lots of guys are flash in the pan, come in quick, make a big statement, take a couple of dollars and run. But the reality is, if you want a long business life, you have to do it another way. Okay. And today, more importantly than ever, I think in the trades, is to get a natural referral from somebody you know.
So these other guys that you're talking about, the real estate people, the tradesmen, it's an advantage to them to be able to say, hey, I've got a flooring guy here, he's really good, and then he introduces them to you, and then you go from there.
Correct.
That's pretty much how that works?
Yeah, and a lot of that is the result of them seeing what you've actually accomplished. In other words, sometimes you have to have some work under your belt, of course, for them to feel comfortable, to see your work. And we spent a lot of time in the early days showing them befores and afters of our work, talking about actual jobs we did with consumer last names and saying we did for Mrs. Jones over in Sarasota, and this is what we did, here's the before, here's the after, here's the challenges we ran into, and here's how we overcame those challenges. And that helps to build foundation for someone who doesn't know you yet to give you a shot at the business, and then you take it from there.
Okay, now the things that you're not doing because you're doing networking, such as advertising.
Well, let's start with the obvious one. I'm not spending $10,000 a month or $7,000 a month for a retail showroom. That's the big one. Because when you add that into the fact that I've got to have a couple of salespeople to manage that showroom, and then all of the other accompanying expenses just to set that up, whether it be display and sample costs, lighting, insurance, whatever that's a big dollar amount that just sits there. And that really, some people will say, well, yeah, when your sales exceed X, though, that becomes insignificant. True. But because this business ebbs and flows, you got to be very cognizant of how high that number really is, so you can do business and still make a profit at 60% or 70% of your goal volume, not
and your
at 95%.
location is a warehouse that's not on a main street and it's not going to draw residential consumers in the front door.
Right. We purchased an industrial building, one that could be a showroom, central office, and a warehouse, all for one operation, knowing that we were going to go to the customer or go for the business on the outside of those walls, whether it be through digital marketing or pounding the ground or ordering a network. So that's one obvious thing. Then we don't spend money in yellow pages. We don't spend money on TV advertising. We don't spend money in places that we know we don't have the dollar volume to support and get our brand out there. It's much more advantageous for me to support an event where most of my potential customers might be, rather than to throw an ad in the middle of Channel 3 or in the cable stations. and find out, right.
What sort of an event? You said
Something real estate related, perhaps, or trade related, or even a home show. A lot of people have gotten away from doing home shows, which are great ways to meet people and just discuss what you do. You don't have to necessarily be in there closing sales, because our product is a high ticket item. Now, our average ticket is about $3,800 right now, because we're doing a mixture of commercial and residential. I know the average is somewhere around $2,000, $2,500 nationwide in retail, but ours is a little higher because our commercial jobs are a little higher. And we do a lot of hard surface work, hardwood and tile, which costs a little bit more money. But we're out there meeting our potential customers who are got a project in mind, and they're redoing a kitchen or redoing a home. They're not at the flooring stage yet. If they are, great, we'll take the appointment. It's to get our name and brand out there, show them what we're capable of doing, show them the befores and afters.
so when they do it,
Yes.
hopefully you'll be the one they call.
And the flooring business is visual, Dave. We are putting in a visual product. So what better way to show you what I can do than to show you the befores and afters of the jobs we've done?